we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods is where we landed. Till Row is the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wailing Woods is where we landed. Till Row is the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods is where we landed. Till Row is the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unplugged Unfiltered. I am Brian Clements alongside Bob Clements, and tonight is the moment that changed everything. And I have to, first off, I have to do a massive shout out to tonight's sponsor, which is Connect the Dots. And
we're finally official.
We're finally official.
We actually have a sponsor.
We actually have a sponsor. So tonight it is sponsored by Connect the Dots. If you didn't see last week's episode, go back and watch last week's episode. We talked to Drew, who is the founder of Connect the Dots. It's an incredible platform. It has helped me connect with so many people. And I can officially say now that my business has a shark swimming in the tank, which is incredible. So, but that's all due to Connect the Dots.
Absolutely.
I mean, and so, yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, ctd.ai is Connect the Dots website. Super simple to sign up. It's free to sign up. But go get you an account and connect with me, connect with Bob. I don't know if Bob's on there yet, but
I'm not.
Yeah.
But there will be a fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there's not.
No.
So I'll get on it. But again, it's as Drew was talking about, if you're on LinkedIn, this is like LinkedIn times 10.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. So I'm excited about it. I've been talking to the dealers that I work with and their salespeople. Mm-hmm. So I've been promoting, and I tell them it's free.
Yeah.
Okay. So
absolutely.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Just go do this.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, this is a product, especially for the price.
Yeah. Yeah. For the price of free. If it doesn't gain you anything, what do you lose? 2 minutes of setup time.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I will say, so I have the free account. I had the free account. I don't have the free account anymore because I found it so beneficial for what I am doing that it was worth going like, no, I'm going to step it up to this next level
for $50.
Yeah. Yeah. And I use it. I mean, I use it 3 or 4 times a day, and I create incredible connections with people that I would never, ever create connections with ever in my wildest dreams. So, Connect the Dots. You will not regret it. The other thing that we have to talk about is we have a huge friend of our show, and I hope to get him on at one point in the coming future. But his name, if you look him up on Instagram, it's Clem Art. If you look up Clem Art, he is an incredible artist. It's going to be doing some stuff with V Friends, but I have to show this because he sent us some of his newest art and his newest numbered sketches, and they are really, really incredible. So Chris Clements is his name. Not related to
That's
him.
Unfortunate, because we could use somebody in our family that had artistic ability.
Yes.
So maybe he would be open.
Oh, absolutely. But I have to show you these. These are just freaking incredible. These are his newest limited first run, limited edition prints. This is a 9 of 10. All of the stuff he sent me was randomized. So, we didn't get a 1 of 1 because
he doesn't like us that much.
When he has no idea we're actually shouting him out on this podcast. We have a 5 of 8, and then we have a 2 of 4. But you guys, you got to go check him out on Instagram. It is Chris Klim. I will put his description and bio in our description. But yeah, definitely check him out. And Chris, thank you so much. I am so proud of the journey that you have been on. I'm so proud of what you have created, and you're going to knock it out of the park. But thank you for those prints. We're going to get them framed. They're going to be up in the podcast studio.
Absolutely.
Full time, because I think it's just truly incredible. But with all of that being said and done, the moment that changed everything, right, it's raw, right? We're going to tell a story. Like I'm going to tell a story of what made me go, okay, I'm ready.
I hate working with my dad.
Yeah.
I want to go out.
It,
It's like, yeah, okay, I get it.
it was never the fact that I hated working with you.
Okay.
It was the travel. I'll be honest.
Yeah, well, that's the suck
Being
part.
gone, trying to start a family, trying to raise kids, trying to do that, being on the road all the time. I know you did it when I was a kid.
That's right. And
I did
you
it
still
for-
have trauma from it.
I did what I don't know, 14 years of
You
it.
did. Yeah.
And
every other week in a different city, dealing with people that didn't really want you to be in the dealership.
yes, yeah, it was fucking miserable. So I was done with it. And so we're going to talk about that. It's going to be story driven. And then there's going to be a lot of pivot points that it's like I started in one place. I ended up in another, but creating that moment that changed everything. That's what we're talking about tonight. And Bob, I mean, you've been in business for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, so what is that? I remember the exact moment for you when you said, screw this, I'm not working for somebody else anymore. I'm not building their business. I want to build my own business. Where was that jump off point where you go, what was that kind of setting the mood of I'm starting to build into this moment that changed everything?
I was like everybody else. I worked for a company. So when I got out of college, I worked for a company and I sold typewriters. And for all of you that are younger, before there was word processors and Word, there's actually a machine that you punch letters on and type. That's exactly what it was. Exactly like that. And so I was working for a company. I was a salesperson for them. I was doing very well, but it was still a corporation.
Yeah.
And you had a ceiling that you hit. So when you reached a certain dollar amount, the owners didn't want you to make more than the managers.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, you couldn't go any farther. Now, if anybody on here is in sales, you know what the word sandbagging means.
Yes, 100%.
So about 9 months into a year, I already had hit the maximum I was going to be able to make.
Yeah.
And so I stopped selling, and I started convincing customers what you really need to do is wait till the first of next year.
Yeah.
And let's get your order in because the prices are going to be this, and this. And so I was manipulating customers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
To not buy.
Yeah.
Because if I sold more, I didn't make any more. I mean, I was at my maximum I could make because the owners of the businesses didn't want their salespeople making more than they make.
Yeah.
Now, again, that still happens today.
Oh, yeah.
And so I finally got to a point going like, this is just freaking stupid.
Yeah. Oh,
100%. And it was like, screw it. I'm going to go out, and I found another typewriter line that I could carry and handle.
Yeah.
Started that business. Didn't do well at it. I have to admit, because I was a salesperson that knew a lot about selling, but I sucked at running a business. But I stayed with it because I tell people that you get to a certain point where you're not hireable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit of a renegade, which probably shocks you.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it exactly. I just like, you know what, screw it. I don't want to stop what I'm doing in September.
Yeah.
Because you've got stupid ass rules.
Yeah.
Because rather than you making more yourself, you're going to limit me on what I can make. And that was kind of my breaking point. And I just went, screw it. And I'm going to do this. And then through that, I really learned how to be an entrepreneur. I was a sales guy, and sales guys can sell, but being an entrepreneur is more about just selling something. You have a business to run. You got a lot of other stuff to do. So I learned it. I sucked at it in the beginning, but I didn't give up. But that was my moment. I remember it to this day. I can go back and say, this is what did it. And it was because I had dumbass management that wasn't smart enough to let Bob just keep selling shit. Right? Just keep knocking it down for us. And that was their mentality.
Those are the limits that I think business owners, if you go like, oh, I don't want my salespeople to make X amount of dollars, I don't want them to make more than their managers. Well, shit, first off, the managers need to be doing a better job, right? Second off is you need to have some type of a promotional based bonus for the managers who get to benefit from their salespeople. And third off, your salespeople are driving everything that's happening in your business. So shut the fuck up and let them do their job.
Exactly. Well, and the thing was, I got 10% of everything I sold. That meant the company got 90%.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they were still making 9 times more than I was as a company for profit.
So why limit me?
Yeah. So why limit me? I mean, it was just, and sometimes you just get, I don't know, they're just stupid. And I think that's a lot of, I know with business owners I work with that used to work for somebody else and did it. Yeah. In almost all cases, it was stupid where they were working. Yeah. And they finally went, screw it. Okay. And if I'm gonna work hard, I might as well be working hard for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, but I remember exactly the moment. Yeah. And I didn't know anything. I mean, I was like the dumbest human being in the world at that point. I was a really good salesperson, but like I tell people, I sucked at business. I'm pretty good at business now. But back then, I really sucked at business.
Well, luckily, I mean, you went into business with $1 million in your bank account, and you had
I had credit cards.
Yeah,
I had, I was like every other salesperson. Basically, if I sold it, I spent it.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I learned. But I did have good big credit card lines. Yeah. And like every other business, I mean, it's, I think a lot of people are shocked, but most entrepreneurs start their business is started on credit cards at 26%.
Yeah.
Okay. 100%. Okay. Because that's your line to work with. And then finally you get it paid down. But I mean, I was leveraged to the hilt on credit cards, getting another credit card to pay off the other credit card.
Yes.
We call that kiting back then. Yeah. So you're like flying this kite around trying to hope that nobody catches you.
Yeah.
And you could do the same thing with checks back then because checks took a long time to clear a bank. So you could float a check, so to speak. But I've done it all. I've made all the mistakes again, but I didn't give up.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to work for myself because I sucked as an employee.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you shouldn't hire me as an employee.
But when you started that, so you were on credit cards, you had a fully written business plan. You knew exactly what you were doing, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, we didn't have chat back then. And to write a business plan, I don't know, you'd have to do some research, probably at a library if you could find a book on it. But no, I didn't have anything. I knew how to sell.
Yes.
Okay. I knew how to sell.
Yeah.
And I knew that when I left, the customers that I had with me with that company would follow me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that was my security blanket.
Yes.
So that's how I got started. But yeah, I mean, I was leveraged up to the hilt. It was just crazy. And Sandy, your mom and my wife, we've talked about before. And I go back and go like, knowing what we had to go through to get to where we're at today. If we knew what the end was going to be, we would do it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But if you didn't know what the end was going to be, you'd go like, well, this is really stupid. I could have just stayed with that company,
shit.
made a couple $100,000 a year, and then say, whatever you want to do, that's fine. I'm taking my 6 weeks vacation and heading out. So,
absolutely.
But again, now that as you look back, and I think that's the thing with every entrepreneur, you get to that point where when you look back and you go, gosh, was it worth it? And you're always going to go, yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was worth it. It was worth the pain and the struggle and all those things. And I think if you talk to Cass and Mike or Gary V or Brian or Drew or anybody else, I mean, last week we had Drew on there. And it's like, Drew didn't have really a security blanket at all.
Yeah.
He just had an idea. So, I think that's it. But yeah, I do definitely remember mine. How about you?
I mean,
when you decided to leave my company, what was that point?
Well, I think
so
that
we can do a little family therapy right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Everybody.
I think that there was multiple points to that. I remember very clearly in November getting the phone call saying, this is kind of the end date. I'm like, oh, okay. But I mean, I will say that with Triton Softwares, right, there's been this massive passion for me. And I would say that that passion has started with previous dealers that I've dealt with and saying, you know, I don't want to see dealers struggle. I don't want to see,
Right.
I don't want to see a dealer owner take his life because his software shit. And that happened.
They should call me before they choose to make that move.
You know, but you have dealers who, you know, it's they play the numbers, they play what's in their software, they do all of this stuff, and then they get so far behind where they don't know how to do it. And I have one dealer in specific that I'm thinking out who was based out of Illinois, who ended up taking his own life. And that's weighed very heavily on me. But when I got that saying, okay, you know, where do you want to go from here? Right?
Yeah.
Do you want to be fully involved in the company, or do you want to do your own thing? And so I would say for the moment, you know, what led to this moment for me was a little bit different than entrepreneurs, because I was very comfortable in the position that I was in. I did not enjoy the travel as much, you know, and was ready to move, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right. I mean, I had multiple other businesses. So we had the mushroom business, we had Jurassic Farms, we had the military surplus business. Yeah. Like we had all of these.
You still have a few of those items left.
I do.
Does anybody want some MREs?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I with everything that's going on, I'm not sure I'm willing to give some of that stuff up right now. I might hold on to that for my stockpile, but I will say leading up to that moment, I was stuck in kind of a cycle of like, okay, you know, this is good enough. And then it was like, this is not necessarily what I want to be. And then the next moment was like, okay, well, you know, I want to do something better. And then it's like, I have a passion here, and me, I am very, very AD. I am the entrepreneurial ADD. Like it's
so a typical entrepreneur.
Every entrepreneur. Mike Lazaro, if you're watching this,
yeah, just listen. There's medication you can take for that. Adderall works pretty well.
But if you take it, it is your superpower. If you know how, exactly. Honestly, and this is my one of my viral clips for today's thing is, if you are an entrepreneur and you have ADD, you have a superpower. If you can learn how to control it, if you can learn how to focus and utilize it properly, you have a superpower. You don't need medication for it.
You do not.
You need a great team around you. Yeah. And that is what I've built with Triton. I have an amazing team around me. I have like the best team around me for someone who is a entrepreneur who has ADD. It is a superpower if you learn how to focus it. But going back to that, what led to the moment of what I'm creating now? I mean, I was sitting on my back porch. We had a conversation on the phone, and I was like, you know, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? And you're like, we'll do it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay. Like let's do it. Like
it was like a no-brainer to me. It's like, because you and I talked about this for quite a while.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So you and I both knew that the industry we're in, software is it's okay, but it's old, right? And you and I had been looking a lot at how to leverage AI.
Yeah.
And as you were telling me about your idea, it's like, well, hell yes, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were going to do, but I thought it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Now go do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a little bigger task, but I still think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it has turned into way more than what I expected it to be.
Okay, well, first of all, you started out thinking this was just going to be an app and not a full-blown software.
Yeah, program. Yeah, it was going to be a basic ass app that was going to help service departments build estimates. And then I looked at it and I'm like, would be great if we can integrate with softwares. And then I was looking at I'm like, there's no software that's actually sophisticated enough for us to integrate. Yeah. And so I was like, well, screw it, I'll build a software. And then I founded a development team that was crazy enough to go, yeah, let's try it.
They didn't know any better.
Yeah.
They should have called me and go like, okay, think about this, guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's one of those, like, they jumped on board. And once they jumped on board, I have, Ryan Dotson, who was on our podcast. He's an investor in our company, one of the most supportive individuals and most, he believes in everything that he invests in and is willing, even if he doesn't invest in a company, he is more than willing to share information and share data. He's an entrepreneur who wants to see entrepreneurs succeed, which is why, like, we talked about his microloans that he's doing. Like, he just wants to see people succeed. So, I've been lucky to have myself surrounded by, like, you and Mom and Ryan and my COO, Mike and Cass Lazaro, and moving that to, Gary V. Right. And now, I'll say it is Mark Cuban. He's now right. in my circle to some extent, which is mind blowing. But having those connections, having that, it takes my next step, which we're going to talk about. The next step is like what led up to that moment, is my next, what led up to that moment was a lot different than a lot of entrepreneurs. Right. But it wasn't, I was with this company. I've had a lot of companies before this that that support wasn't right. as much there. Like, I have my landscape company. The support I had was, you guys helped me get my first mower. Right. And on free weekends, you helped me. I helped you string trim.
Like, I got nothing going on this weekend. Yeah. Let me help you get caught up.
Yeah. And so that was my support. I have a different type of support going into this. So my what led into that moment. And I will say, I tried to play by the rules. Like, I tried to just say, okay, we're going to do it this way and we're going to do it this way, because this is how all of the legacy softwares have done it. I said, honestly, and just blatantly, I said, fuck the rules. Like, why do we have to fit this mold? Yeah. Why do we have to do this? And so that's the whole point of my software company, is like, we're not fitting any molds. We're creating the new mold. We're creating the new standard. And it's pretty crazy, and a lot of people still think to this day that I am crazy for what I am doing. Right. There's a lot of money at stake. We have put a lot of money into this, and they don't see the payout, but I really don't give a shit, because they don't understand the industry.
Well, that's the big piece. The industry you're in is massive. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars spent every year on dealer management software. So you and I both know the industry. Mm-hmm. We know how flawed most of the software is out there, because I deal with it every day. I got dealers that call me up and go like, "Oh my God, my software sucks." And I say, "Well, can you wait? Can you wait for a few more months? There's a really cool software come out." These are guys that I've known for years, and I talk to them about kind of what you're doing and things like this. The other piece, again, is from my standpoint, one of the things that was excited me, because I am a little bit of, I do hold a grudge. A little bit.
100%.
And I have most of the software companies that are out there now that I've helped grow their software for free. Yeah. They come to me and say, "Hey, Bob, what can we do to make our software better?" And I say, "Well, dealers would like it if you could do this and this and this and this." Yeah. So I've always been a giver. I don't need any, they don't pay me any money. They've never paid me any money, whatever like this. But you and I worked very hard on a flat rate guide for the interest. Mm-hmm. And we had over 500,000 flat rates for all of the industries we work in built into it. Yeah. And I went to the software companies that I've done nothing but help. Yeah. And I said, "Hey, we've got this really cool tool that you should load into your software. Yeah. Open it up and let people access this. Yeah. And we'll do a revenue split. You can have 70% of it. I'll take 30% of it." And every one of them says, "Yeah, we're really not interested in that, Bob." Yeah. And I'm going, "Okay, now hang on just a second. Okay, I got the coolest thing in the world that your dealers need and love, and you're telling me, we're not really interested. We don't think dealers would be interested." And I'm going like, "You're an idiot." And so when you said that, I'm going like, "Hey, Brian, we've got a half." Yeah. So basically, from my standpoint, it's like, you're dead. I love Kevin O'Leary. You're a cockroach. You're dead to me.
You're dead to me.
So now I'm going to help Brian
yeah,
build a software that's going to just kick your ass.
Well,
And that's my vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Well, and the big things with companies, and there's a lot of companies that get sucked into this is say, we look at the profit, right? And we're comfortable with the profit.
Yeah.
But we know we've pissed off enough of our customers at this point that if we make a change and force them to make a change, they will make a change and leave us.
Yes.
And so they're like, oh, we don't want to make this change, or we don't want to do this. Or in the words of the flat rate guide, right? They look at it and go, well, we'll have to make a massive patch because this is built on 2021 technology. And we're still on 1995.
Yeah, unfortunately, my database was based upon 2024 technology. And their shit was based upon, I don't know, they were on Windows 3.0. Right? And they're like, oh yeah, we have to do a lot of programming to get this done. It's like, dear God, you should have been doing this anyway. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I mean, I think, with as you and I were having the conversation about it made 100% sense to me. Because we've talked about it in the past. It's like, why don't these software companies just do this?
Yeah.
Dear God. I mean, these people are paying them all this money. They don't do this stuff. Well, it's because they don't have to. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so they haven't had to innovate. They haven't had to change, or the ones that have changed stole the ideas from somebody else.
Oh, or acquired a company.
Or acquired to come and do it.
Yeah.
And they suck too. That's why they were for sale.
Yeah.
And so they did it. So anyway, so, to me, that's the thing again. And it's that's kind of the entrepreneurial thing. So you see somebody out there that's doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't care about the customer anymore. Well, they say they do, but they really don't. Because I deal with their customers, all of their customers all day long because I'm consulting with dealerships. And they really don't care. Yeah. Right. And these guys are fed up and they're tired and they expect better things. And so, I was excited that you were looking at doing this. Because number one, I know the business well because you spent 14 years every other week at some dealership doing Gordon Ramsay kitchen nightmare turnaround.
I just wasn't throwing plates.
You were not throwing plates.
It was sockets.
Or terminating. But anyway, so that's why I was excited for you to do it. But it's also a hell of a task. I mean, this is, what you're doing is a task to do.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been a massive task, and it's been one of those kind of, at what point do I fully separate myself from, what my security net, right? Like there comes a point where it's like, there's this breaking point where you're just go, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to break myself away from every single thing that's keeping me from dedicating 100% to my business. And it's one of those, like, I had two options, right? Because moving out of your company, I could have gone and worked for any software company.
I was not going to to give you a referral.
And that's fine.
I'm like, oh my God, I'd never hire him.
I don't know. I only fixed about 400 dealerships and probably produced, I don't know, $4 billion worth of profit in those dealerships. Pretty sure I could have got a referral.
You probably could have got a referral.
But I could have gone and approached any software company. I could have gone to any dealership and gotten a job. I mean, I got while I was on the road. I mean, I got offered, like, I had a dealership up in Anchorage, Alaska, and they go, "What's it going to cost for us to have you come in and run our dealership?" And I said, "You can't afford me." And they go, "Try us." And I said, "You can't afford me because you can't convince my spouse
to come
to do
Alaska."
And they're like, "Whoa, would 400,000 do it?" I said, "Not even close." but I had all of these offers, right? I had all of these opportunities, and I had to get to a point where it says, okay, where's my breaking point? Where is it? Say, I'm done working for someone else, and I want to start building my legacy. Right. But at the same time is paying respects to the knowledge that I've learned from you, because you have taught me so much. You give me the opportunity to learn so much. And so in what I'm doing, part of it is this, like, yes, I want to make money. Part of it is I want to see dealers succeed. But another part of it is, like, this is me paying tribute to everything that you've ever done.
I'm still not going to bring you back. So
that's fine.
That was your plea.
I don't want a position. I appreciate the offer, but
so we have to clarify this to everybody.
No deal.
We made a change in our business structure to where, because again, it's just so challenging to be on the road, because I did it for 30 years and then Brian came in and did it in my place. And so like Brian said, Brian grew up as a child, and every other week I was in some city, someplace in a Hampton Inn or out the Express doing a turnaround. And Brian did that. And so we got to a point where I knew it wasn't something Brian wanted to do anymore. I wasn't going to go back and do it. And so we actually changed the structure of the company and said, okay, we're not going to make this available anymore to any dealers, to where we're going to do God bless, I love Gordon Ramsay, but a Gordon Ramsay kitchen nightmare turnaround.
Well, and I will say a big turning point in that was COVID, right? Because when COVID happened, no one was traveling. Like I remember going on my first trip during COVID
to Vermont, if I remember right. And you had to have like 3 COVID tests.
During the COVID pandemic, I took probably 40 COVID tests so I could travel. But like that changed it, because first off, people didn't want someone coming into their dealership that hadn't been COVID tested over and over and over, which is why I took like 72,000 COVID tests. My brain has been hit with a Q-tip more than anybody else's. But that was honestly a pivotal point for your company as well, because it's like, okay, we have built a lot of reputation on boots on the ground, right? This is that. And you had to pivot, you had to change, because COVID prevented that. It was like what you had to do during 9/11 when you were speaking. And so it was a natural progression. Bob was like, this is not a business that is being seeked out as much anymore. And when he came to me with that, I said, well, that's great, because it's not a business that I'm seeking out very much anymore.
This is going to work out great.
Like this is great. It's scary, right? Because you have that structure, you have that safety net of saying, okay, well, at least I know I'm going to get this much per month. And you have that safety net. So, I mean, it was honestly the best thing that happened for your company. It was the best thing that happened for me, because it forced me. And I will honestly say that if you hadn't come to me and said, like, this is what we're changing in the company, I don't know if I would have been ready to take that leap, right? Because I had a lot of security. There was a lot of security in what we had going from, I was paid well to do what I did. And there's a big security factor in that. So I can't say that I was ready to take that leap until we had that conversation. And again, I know it was in November. I was sitting on my back porch. We had this conversation and I said, you know what? That's fine. It wasn't I quit, but it was, I don't necessarily have a backup plan. I have thoughts, I have ideas, but I believe in my thoughts and I believe in what I'm doing. And so I said, you know what, let's do it. Like, and you and your company have been more than gracious and helped me. We'll call it a severance package, right? And so it wasn't just like I was completely
cut. Oh, by the way, I hope your children do well.
Yeah.
Here's 2 weeks now. We tried to make it as fair as we could and do it right. Because again, number one, you helped me build the company to where it's at today, along with Sarah, my oldest, and then Christine. I have all 3 of my kids that worked in my company at one point. But I would say again, what it did for you was, I think, it was the jump off point, right? So, because so many times I think I knew you were at a point where you didn't want to do it anymore, but again, you were doing it because you respected me and you wanted to keep
absolutely
doing it. So we kind of came to that understanding there. But I think that November day in your life was the day where you became unstoppable.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was the point where you didn't need to come and say, hey, I want to do this. I need your permission. You didn't ask for permission. We had a conversation. And I think that was that point where your fire, it was sitting there burning. You were tired of doing what you're doing anyway, but it was that transition point. I don't need permission.
Yeah.
And it freaking made you unstoppable. You became more focused, more intense, I mean, everything about you went up a whole nother level. And I think that's really what it is. I think sometimes people, when you get to the point where you say, I'm going to stop asking for permission to do something. Absolutely. I think that the day that you stop asking for permission is the day you become unstoppable.
Absolutely. I mean, and that the day that you do that, the day you stop, is the day that you stop creating limits inside of your business, inside of your mind, inside of those things. And it creates a unstoppable flow, right? Yeah. Like when a dam breaks, like you have a dam, right? It's holding back so much stuff. Exactly. But the moment that dam breaks, it's unstoppable. Exactly. Like it's going to take every piece of concrete. Once there's a pinhole in it, it's going to start breaking it down. And that becomes a unstoppable force as long as you are willing to put the time and work into it.
Well, and again, I think that's such an important part. It does become unstoppable. Your goal then is to somewhat try to start controlling the rush of water.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you've done. I mean, so you had this idea, you and I had talked about it prior, thinking that, gosh, this is something my company should do. But we're not really in the software development company.
Absolutely.
But we both knew there was a market for it. And I think that you said, okay, fine. And I said, hey, whatever resources I have, you are welcome to everything that I have here. So let's go do this. Or I'm not saying let's us go do it. You go do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the piece of it there. Again, is just going, when you stop thinking you have to ask for permission, you literally become this flood of water through a dam that becomes unstoppable.
Well, and I tell my team all the time, and they hate hearing it. They truly hate hearing it. If any of my team's on here, you guys will know it when I say it. But there became a point where it was my fuck it moment.
Yeah.
and they go, if any of my team is on here watching, I mean, we're live on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Like we're live on. If any of you know my fuck it moments, and that is a moment that I just say, we're gonna make this work one way or the other. I'm going through the bog, right? We're going mudding, and we're gonna get out the other side. It doesn't matter.
Well, that was one of my favorite scenes on Yellowstone when they were gathering up all those wild horses.
I love.
If you've never watched Yellowstone, number one, you owe it to yourself to watch Yellowstone. Probably one of the greatest series out there. But there was a moment. I'll let you tell the story because this is kind of that. Now what are we going to do, right?
Yeah.
So do a quick little.
I mean, in Yellowstone, spoiler alert a little bit, right? So it's you've got Rip, and you've got John Dutton, which is he owns the Yellowstone, and then you have his son, and then you have Rip, who is his ranch manager, right? And they're wrangling all of these wild horses, and
so that they can sell them for a woman whose husband got killed.
Yes,
so they're doing this for a noble purpose.
Yeah, so they're wrangling these wild horses so they can sell them at an auction to help support this lady whose husband got killed. And John rides up and he talks to, and I blanking the name of his son.
Cody.
No,
not Cody. I don't know.
Casey. Yeah. So he rides up to Casey and he goes, Casey, so what's our plan here? And he goes, well, the best thing we could come up with was fuck it. And he goes, the fuck it. And then here comes Rip rides up and he goes, well, the quicker we get it done, the less chance that something could go wrong. And so John turned around, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So he's wrangled billions of cattle in his lifetime, wrangled hundreds of thousands of horses. He goes, well,
here's our plan. Let's do it.
So
quicker we do it, the less damage we're probably going to have.
Absolutely. And you have to take that into business because you have to have that
moment.
That fuck it moment. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And as I've talked to Mike and Cass, as I've talked to Gary, as I've talked to Seth, Anthony, all of them. I mean, Anthony will bring in Grade School, the book, right? With Grade School.
What a great book.
Like Anthony's, his fuck it moment was he had a conversation with Gary, and Gary's like, well, why aren't you doing it? And he's like, well, you're right. Fuck it. Let's do it. You know, Seth, the same thing is Seth was in business over and over and over again. And then, you know, bought a costume to go be an executive at a hotel. But that was his effort moment, you know, was be like, you know what's the worst that can happen is that. So,
but I think that's it again, you know, so everybody, if you're an entrepreneur, you are going to have that moment where, okay, we got all these wild Mustangs gathered up here and we're doing this for a good cause, but we have no plan.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I will tell you again, 99% of the entrepreneurs that start a business, they don't have a business plan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's always like I tell my dealers, and they say, well, do we need an employee handbook? And I go, well, it's not going to make you any more money.
Yeah.
I said, but you need it because it's a process for how your people are being managed. But I said, but right now, you're just trying to make a profit. So effort, forget your employee handbook.
Yeah.
Let's just figure out how to make money.
100%.
Now, you know, when you get 20 employees, then we'll help you on your employee handbook.
Yeah.
At that point, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's everybody gets to that effort moment.
Yeah.
Right. And you say, well, I don't have a plan. Okay, well, start anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you just got to start. You got to have that. And that's the capital.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about capital, you know, and the capital from a money aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to have that too. I use credit cards, right?
Yeah.
We had everything booked up on credit cards.
Yeah.
Right. So however you do it, you know, because in the beginning, most people aren't going to give you $1 million for an idea that's never been proved out.
Yeah.
So you just got to go F it. Okay. That becomes your startup capital.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's the thing that's going to drive you. And if you're an entrepreneur, right, it'll drive you farther than you think. Now, if you're not an entrepreneur, about 30 days into it, you're going to go, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can I have my job back? Okay.
Yes.
So again, I always tell people again, being an entrepreneur, everybody should try it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm just telling you, as one, it's not for everybody.
Well, and that's something that as I've been watching Shark Tank, I've gone back and started watching Shark Tank very religiously. I love it too. And Mark Cuban has a phrase that he quotes all the time is, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a wantrepreneur. And there's a lot of people, and this is not a dig on anyone who's out here, because I will say any wantrepreneur, someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, right? You have every tool available to you to become an entrepreneur. But you have to do the work. You have to dig into it. You have to dive into it. And whether that's buying Shoveling Shit by Cass and Mike Lazaro.
By the way, I sent out 2 of their books this week.
Yeah.
To dealers.
And we're sending, I mean, I've given out a substantial amount of those books. That it is if you're an entrepreneur or wantrepreneur, in Mark Cuban's words, right? But you go, I'm a wantrepreneur who wants to turn into an entrepreneur. If that is you, message us, because we have Shoveling Shit books that we can send out. Like, and if you take it seriously, if you actually fucking do it, we'll send it to you. We're more than happy to do it.
Absolutely. I don't mind doing it. I was laughing because one of the funniest parts in the book of Shoveling Shit was how Mike asked Cass to marry him.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. In an email.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would just say it's a funny book. I'm a big fan of the book, but if you want to have some fun, some laughs, and get into it, do it. But I think again, that's it. You know, I love that Mark Cuban thing. You know, a wantrepreneur. You know,
absolutely.
There's a lot of difference there. The other piece again, Brian, I think again, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm waiting for a sign."
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Brian, I'm waiting for a sign. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your thoughts on people waiting for a sign?
Yeah. I'm waiting on a sign, right? That is the biggest bullshit excuse that I hear all the time. Well, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this. So you're waiting to win the fucking lottery before you do
before
anything.
you buy a ticket, right?
Like what is that shit?
No, that's the I'm waiting for the lottery to get to 500 billion.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to buy a ticket.
Absolutely.
Because 400 billion is not enough.
Oh, absolutely.
But I could survive on 500 billion.
Yeah. Well, that.
And by the way, I'm not a lottery fan. So
Yeah. No, I mean,
I always laugh at people say, "Well, I'm going to wait till it gets to 5 billion."
Well,
what is 4 billion?
And I will say that when it gets to the like record jackpots, of course I go buy a ticket, right? Because you're like, I don't need it, but it'd be like, well,
for a buck, it's worth a shit.
For a buck, it's worth. I mean, that's a pretty low risk investment.
But I think going back to that, I'm waiting for a sign. In many people's mind, what it translates is I'm afraid to jump.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I will say, so one of the things that I've seen, and it was a video, if you look at it, is go onto YouTube, look at Steve Harvey jump. So Steve Harvey, and this is a video I will carry with me for the rest of my life.
And by the way, can I say one of the funniest comedians of all time?
One of the funniest comedians of all time. But at the same time, one of the realest entrepreneurs. Yeah. If you watch what Steve Harvey's story is, he went from absolutely nothing and has built his personal brand. Like, he didn't build necessarily a business, right? Steve Harvey, his business was his brand. But that I'm just scared to jump. There's a video that Steve Harvey put out at an intermission during a filming of Family Feud. And he talks to a person in the audience, and he talks about, like, everyone's scared to jump, right? What if the parachute doesn't open right away? But you're going to get some scrapes. You're going to get bruised. You're going to get beat up at some point. It's going to happen. But when the moment is right, if you can hang on to those bumps, to those scrapes, to that, just a fucking beating, it happens to every entrepreneur. The parachute's going to open, and you're going to soar.
And if it doesn't, it really won't matter.
If it doesn't, it really won't matter.
You jumped and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but before you make the jump, it has to be somewhat of a calculated risk, right?
Absolutely.
You can't be like,
there's not nothing's 100%.
But if you look at, say, okay, here's what I'm gifted at. Here's what my passion is. And you build that, whether it's a lawn care business. I mean, I've seen people in lawn care businesses who make $5, $10, $15 million a year cutting grass because that's their gift.
Can we talk about embassy?
Yeah, I mean, they make $100 million a year cutting grass.
But he didn't start out that way.
No, he didn't. He had the bumps, the scrapes. He was scared as hell to jump when he started it. Yeah. But he had to make some money somewhere. And whether you're doing that, I know someone who cuts hair, right? And with them cutting hair, they make scraps 90% of the time, but that person has scaled it to where they have 15 salons,
right? And
they're renting out booths, and they're doing this, and they're making $10 million a year cutting hair, right? Because it's their gift, it's their passion. And so if you're waiting on a sign, if you're scared to jump, as long as you have found your gift, as long as you've found your passion, just fucking jump. I'm not saying quit your job today. Like, if you have $0 in the bank, you're
check your credit card.
three months behind on your mortgage.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't jump today.
Get your shit together a little bit before you jump. But at
least have a parachute on.
100%. Yeah. But at the same token is reach out to us. Absolutely. So that we might be able to connect you with, like, and this is a massive shout out, not one of our sponsors, not anything, incredible friends of mine. But if you go on to Mike or Cass and Mike Lazaro's Facebook page, every single person right now has the ability to join the Farm Network. The Farm Network is a network controlled by Mike and Cass, and they are answering in real time questions by any and every single entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend $1. You don't have to do anything. You go on, look up Cass and Mike Lazaro and join that, because that is going to be that should I jump, should I not jump moment. It's amazing. So I know we're kind of coming up to the end of the time. We got way off of our talking points. Not way off.
It's called Unplugged and Unfiltered.
We're going to talk about what we want to talk about.
Exactly.
We have fun. We have talking points that we're like, okay, this was a talking point at the very beginning of it. And it just, we just hit it at the end.
About 3 minutes into it, that went away.
100%. Yeah. we don't follow that. But what I want to say is so your moment is coming. Everyone here, your moment is coming. Will you leap? Are you going to take that jump? Are you going to take that scared, I'm waiting on a sign bullshit? Or are you going to say, let's jump?
I know I'm going to get some scrapes. I know I'm going to get some bruises. So, by the way, you need to do connect the dots and see if we can get Steve Harvey on here at some point.
Oh, 100%. No, I will.
He would be, which is the perk of Connect the Dots, right?
Absolutely.
And I believe they're one of our sponsors, or they are sponsor.
They
sponsors.
Are the sponsor. So Connect the Dots is the sponsor on this. But I'm gonna challenge every single person on here. If you are on here, I'm gonna start posting some content from this podcast. Honestly, probably tonight because I don't sleep. But I'm gonna be posting some content. If you see a content from tonight's podcast, tag Steve Harvey in it. Let's see if we can get Steve Harvey to give his I'm gonna jump moment, because that would be incredible. It would be awesome. I'm gonna do the diligence on my side with Connect the Dots. I can almost guarantee someone in my Connect the Dots profile is connected to Steve Harvey. But yeah, no, this is a passion of mine, because even businesses that you work with, they start, right? They're like, I got my parachute on,
right,
but they don't jump, and they don't succeed. They stay mediocre.
Just mediocre. That was one of the things when Mike and Cass and Mike and I were on our very first podcast, and we so appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
But one of the things I always tell dealers is, you got to do what the hell I tell you to do. Out of the effing plane.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob, but you don't know my area. You don't know this. I go, trust me, I know. Okay. Your parachute will open.
It will.
We're high enough above the ground. I would never tell you to jump if I thought you were going to die.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got to have enough faith in me.
Yeah.
And this goes back again that we talked about young entrepreneurs connecting with experienced entrepreneurs. You just got to shut up, listen, and don't think you're smarter than them, because they've jumped.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Their chute didn't open until about 100 feet above the ground at one time. And they landed hard, but they got up and they went, well, shit, that kind of hurt, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really exhilarating.
I'm just saying again, and that's the big thing. As a young entrepreneur, I would just say again that I'm all about, you've got to connect with experienced senior entrepreneurs that have not been a CEO of some corporation, has never been an entrepreneur. That's a little bit of problem I have with some of these, like the Scores and the stuff like that. These are people that have been CEOs of big corporations. They don't have any idea how to start a company. All they can do is run a company that an entrepreneur started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so I tell people again, get with that small business owner, the people in your community that are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the people you want to connect with. And then again, and then the other thing again is stop asking permission.
Absolutely.
Just freaking do it.
Well, and that goes,
become unstoppable.
That goes to the kind of final point that I have for tonight. And it's the final question that I'm going to ask of Bob is, say, your real startup capital is what? What is your real startup capital? It's that bucket. I'm doing it moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was mine when I left. The company was only going to let me make so much money, and my startup capital was F it. This is so damn stupid. Right. I know what I can do. And that was my startup capital. Because sometimes I think we think of capital, we think about it's just dollars.
Yeah.
It's not just dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? You have this thing in you, that's your capital.
Absolutely.
And you'll figure it out.
So with that, I want you guys to go all find your F it. I'm doing this moment. I want you guys to DM us, send us a message, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or TikTok. I want you guys to all send us that moment that changed your mentality on being an entrepreneur, taking you from being a entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. Or if you are a entrepreneur, someone who wants to be an entrepreneur but doesn't know how to get there, send us a message and let us help you become a entrepreneur from a entrepreneur. But with that, it is our pleasure to talk to you guys tonight. Yes. And we are going to unplug, unwind, and probably drink a little bit more tequila. But with that, you guys are incredible. Much love to all of you. And we will catch you guys next week, which before I end it, next week, you have to join in. We have an incredible guest. She is an expert on burnout, but she's also an expert on curative AI for companies. So do not miss out on next week's episode. But with that, we're unplugging. We'll see you guys all next week.
Never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. When words where we landed, we're 2 rows the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words where we landed, we're 2 rows the next to be commended.